Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a little bit on what's on the inside of the Seagull 4A model. I don't know how much they differ between the different models, but if you're familiar at all with Seagulls, you know that they break constantly, and I've been looking for guides and people to walk through like what's going on the inside, how I should take it apart, and I couldn't find any, so here I am hopefully helping out somebody else who needs it. First thing you have to do when you open it up is to take off all this little leather stuff. You don't need it. Most of the time, if you have an old one, it's just going to flake off anyway. So you have 4 screws right there, and then this little, I don't know where I put it, but there's a little screw thing that goes around your shutter that also needs to come off as well. Make sure you have your shutter and your aperture settings in some orientation that you can remember it, or else the faceplate won't come back on correctly if you accidentally move those. So put it someplace you can remember it. Okay, so this is what you're going to see underneath when you open it up. This is a little difficult to see, but basically you've got this little mechanism right here that you can see wiggling, that is what is transferring the motion from your shutter crank to this apparatus, which will, it's a little loosey-goosey because everything is unscrewed, but you see this little hammer coming up that's going to cock. It's already cocked, the shutter's already cocked, but it's going to cock your shutter, which pulls back like that to fire. So you can see that in action again, because once you know how it works, it's a lot easier to fix whatever problems you have. So again, there's this little hammer thing right here, this guy. Like I said, everything's loose because I've already unscrewed everything. That is transferring the motion from your crank to something that pushes all the way around to that hammer on top, which cocks the shutter. And you can see the timer right there too, which goes, and then there goes the shutter. Okay, so the first problem that I had, and a lot of problems that people have with the Seagull, happen with the shutter, and the one I had was right in here in this mechanism, this transference from this part, which is from the crank again, to the part which moves this hammer. You can see right here I tried to put a shim earlier that actually prevented the hammer from going as far back, which kept rather this part of the mechanism from going too far to the top, because what was happening is that this little lever from the crank and this little end of the hammer were just like overlapping and jamming up. So if you ever have a jammed crank and your shutter isn't being able to recock, that's probably where your problem is lining. So this little shim is not working anymore, so I may have to revisit that. But also what I found is to just pull the zoom all the way, or the focus all the way down, and lower the whole lens deck as far down as possible, and then I just push in on the side of this plate, and that tends to put as much pressure and jam that jam as much as I need to. But that's not the reason that I opened this up this time, because though that's irritating, it's workable. The reason I opened it this time is that my frame counter was not working. And so subsequently, whenever I advanced film, I didn't know how far I should be advancing because this mechanism wasn't automatically stopping my crank. So I could wind through an entire roll of film without it being stopped. Which was difficult to take pictures unless you know entirely how many or what fraction of a full turn on the crank you need to turn in order to advance a frame. Which some people know because they're weird like that, but I didn't. I'm having trouble getting this out. So this whole apparatus is a little easier taken off with the zoom, or God, I keep calling it the zoom, but it's the focus. With the focus pushing the lens deck all the way out. So as far out as you can bring it, it's a little easier to maneuver things, and you can see what you're doing a little better. So, right here, there you have the lenses and the shutter mechanism and everything. That's all it is. It's a pretty cool contraption. I am not opening the actual shutter itself. You'll have to find somebody else who's a little crazier than I to do that. So the next thing that you'll find underneath the shutter mechanism is this plate, which I took out so I could maneuver things a little easier, but I don't think you actually have to. So in that spirit, I'm going to leave it right now.